In this next part of the review for Unit 5, Chemical Reactions, we're going to look here for a few minutes at a part of a test that will be over writing the names of compounds and writing the formulas for compounds when you're given the name. So this is an important skill in writing chemical reactions in that part of the language of chemistry. Now when you look at this, I hope you see two ions, a cation and an anion. I hope when you look at this you see a metal. Oop, there we go. Don't have my tablet this morning, so I can't write on the screen. We'll see if this highlighting kind of works. Okay, I hope you see a metal ion. Remember, metal ions are just like the 2/3 of the periodic table to everything to the left of that zigzag line. So you see a metal, that's your clue that you're talking about an ionic compound. And then there can only be one anion, and so this must be the nitrate. And so you look at that and see sodium nitrate. You look here and see a metal, and you see another polyatomic anion, phosphate, magnesium phosphate. Here you see a metal, potassium. Now when you look at this, what ion do you see? Well, I hope you notice that it's SO3, and so SO3 is sulfite. One less oxygen than sulfate. Now remember, if you see a metal and it's a transition metal, you have to figure out what the charge is most of the time and indicate that charge with a Roman numeral in the name. So don't forget that. Remember, oxygen is -2 in charge. So if we have 3 of them, that means that right here we have a charge of -6. So this has to be +6. 2 irons at +6 means the irons must be at a charge of 3 each. Remember, this Roman numeral is not how many irons there are. It's not necessarily how many oxygens there are. It's the charge of the cation. Now I'm moving on to 15, and here I see a nonmetal, but I hope you recognize this as the only nonmetal cation that you have to be aware of for this class. And you go, oh, that's ammonium. The cation is ammonium. And so we see ammonium hydroxide. The anion is hydroxide. Here we see potassium and carbonate. In the next 6 problems, you were given the name and you needed to write the formula. Sodium, and you say, that's Na, it is a charge of +1. So if I'm going to put that with nitrite, nitrite is, I look it up on my common ion sheet, unless I'm memorizing them, and I go nitrite, NO2 -1. +1 and -1 add 0, so that's great. 18. Potassium is the cation, and hydrogen carbonate is the anion. -1 +1, they add 0. Number 19, I see copper Roman numeral 2. That means I have copper with a 2+ charge. Now I know that oxide is -2, so these +2 and -2 add to 0. And so I have the right formula. If you don't have the right formula, you cannot go on to balance the equation correctly. And all of the math that you do with the ratios of the coefficients in the next unit will not work if you don't have the right formula. Potassium sulfate. Potassium is +1. Sulfate is -2. So I have to have 2 of the potassiums. Magnesium is +2. Hydroxide is only -1, so I have to have 2 of the hydroxides to give me +2 and -2. And iron 3, remember the iron 3? 3 is the charge of the iron. So since that's plus 3, I need 3 chlorides. So hopefully you'll just work through those with no difficulty. You're pretty familiar with those. Balancing chemical reactions. Remember, it's just a matter of looking to say, well, we have 1 carbon here, 1 carbon here. 4 fluorines, and 2 times 2 is 4 fluorines. Remember, fluorine and bromine are elements that are diatomic. You have to write them this way because that's how they occur in nature. You don't find them any other way for any extended period of time as atoms. They're simply molecules of 2 atoms put together. So look those over. Pause the video if you need to. Let's look at the rest of those in case you haven't looked at the website where you can pull this key up. Moving on to 31. Now in problem 31, you're given the name of the compound. You have to write the correct formula and then balance the equation. Now remember, things like phosphoric acid, where do you find that if you don't know the formula? Well, the formula is on the other side of your common ion sheet from all the ions. There's a bunch of information there that will help you as you're working on the test. Calcium phosphate. And of course water. Number 32, copper. Once again an acid, sulfuric acid, that you could look up on the back of your periodic table. Copper 2 sulfate. Remember, sulfur dioxide gas is SO2. You should know how to write that. Let's move on down somewhere here. There's something we really need to take a look at. There it is, number 34. Did you work through number 34 and say, something doesn't look right in this key? Here we have copper. Oops, moving it around accidentally. We have silver nitrate. Okay, that looks good. Well, let me just get part of that. No, we have silver and we have copper nitrate. But what's wrong with the copper nitrate? We don't have our 3 over there. Now, unfortunately, I'm working on a computer that won't provide me any writing tools, so I cannot add a 3 there where we really need one. CuNO3 is copper nitrate. So, good luck on the test.